Fury 325 and Orion are both absolutely amazing rides that find their ways in my top 5 overall. But now that I've had re-rides on Fury 325, I think I can finally give a rematch to these two B&M Giga coasters. Will Orion retain its title, or will Fury 325 finally take the crown as the best Giga that I've ridden? First, I'll go over the layout and stats of each coaster, and then after that, I'll be briefly comparing the two before I give my final answer. So without further ado, let's do this. Let's start off with the stats. Orion is located at Kings Island and was built and opened in 2020 for $30 million. Both Orion and Fury 325 were built by Bolliger and Mabillard, and they're Giga coasters. However, Orion has a height of 287 feet, which is technically the height of a hypercoaster, but the drop on it is 300 feet, which makes it a Giga. It has a top speed of 91 miles per hour and a length of 5,321 feet, just over a mile. Its angle of descent is 81 degrees. Fury 325, on the other hand, has a height of, surprise surprise, 325 feet. The drop is 320 feet and has the same angled drop as Orion, 81 degrees. It goes 95 miles per hour and has a length of 6,602 feet. Fury 325 is located at Carowinds and opened for $30 million, just like Orion. Now let's get into the layout of Orion. You rise up the 287-foot lift hill, and if you look to the right, you'll see the entirety of Kings Island sink beneath you. It's a really cool visual, even if the ride doesn't crack 300 feet tall. Then just at the crest of the lift hill, it slows down ever so slightly, and then you dive down the first drop, which because of the terrain is 300 feet. This drop is spectacular. It seems to last forever and gives great airtime in every single row. You then rise into a massive element, the wave turn. Everyone seems to hate on this element as it quote-unquote doesn't have airtime, and while yes, the airtime isn't the strongest, I still felt myself rise out of my seat just a little bit. Mix that with being turned sideways and you have a genuinely fun element. It is the weakest element on the ride, but still a fun one. Then you go into the turnaround, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, this feels like the highest point on the ride because you enter at the top and turn downwards. You are flying above the trees and it is absolutely surreal, especially at night. You then fly into the best element on the entire ride for me, the speed hill. This gives abrupt ejector airtime and comes right after snapping out of the turnaround. So not only does it give great airtime, but also great laterals. Then you rise into what is a sadly trimmed camelback airtime hill. However, you can still get good air on this element if you aren't stapled. You then rise into the Orion's belt, a helix that is surprisingly intense, giving some of, if not the best positive Gs on the ride. You then rise into a banked airtime hill, which gives ejector that's on par with the speed hill. And then you rise into the brakes. This layout is no short of fun moments, and people like to dog on it for not being intense or being too short, but I never found these to be major issues. Now let's dive into Fury 325's layout. You ascend the 325-foot tall lift hill, getting an amazing view of the park just to the right of you, kind of like Orion. But if you go on a clear day, there's a very good chance that you'll see downtown Charlotte from the lift hill. Fury 325 doesn't slow down at the top, however I still found myself enjoying this drop more. You can definitely feel that extra 20 feet. It feels like you were falling for an eternity, in every row too. I wasn't able to request my row on Fury 325, so I never got front or back rows, but either way the drop is still outstanding. And hey, I like it more than Orion. On my night rides on this, both times I found myself thinking, oh that's the drop. Or not. It's truly outstanding. You then rise into the first turnaround, and if you are sitting on an edge seat, you will be thrown sideways. The banking on this element is insane. You then go into another banked hill, and once again there is great whip on the edge seats. By the way, I've actually only ridden Fury 325 in the edge seats, so I'm speaking on behalf of that experience. Then, once again, there's another banked airtime hill that leads into the Hive Dive, which is probably one of, if not the best turnarounds in roller coaster history. You get insane ejector at the peak of it, and the dive under the neon green lit tunnel is stunning, especially at night. You then bank to the left again and go into a trimmed airtime hill, which if the trims are off, be prepared. It's insane. If not, it still gives decent airtime. But then there is a long drawn out helix that burns off a lot of the ride speed. Personally, this is the weakest element on the ride, but the hand chopper is still really fun. Then you're into the finale, 2 small camelbacks that provide absolutely amazing airtime. It's on par with Orion's speed hill. Then you rise into the brake run, and that's your ride. This layout is easily more intense in terms of positives, negatives, and laterals than Orion, but I've had Orion over top of Fury for almost a year. So let's talk about my opinions and if Orion is still the king of gigas for me. Both rides have their upsides and downsides to them. For example, Fury 325 doesn't run the best in the morning, and to get a true experience you have to do it at night. Also, the operators won't let you pick your row, so hopefully if I get back to Carowinds one day, I'll be able to snag a front and back row ride on it. Orion also has its downsides. Some of the elements aren't that standout, they're good, but they're also sometimes forgotten. Some upsides to the rides though include the fact that Fury 325 is significantly longer than Orion and has a better first drop and overall a better layout. But Orion has stronger theming and is the best giga roller coaster in Ohio. So it's time to decide, is Fury 325 the speed and length machine or Orion the theming and experience machine better? Well, my recent rides on Fury 325 were unforgettable. They were outstanding and made me question reality. And yes, while Orion was the king of gigas for me, its layout wasn't enough to stack up against the re-rides that I got on Fury these past few weeks. So, Fury 325 has reclaimed its title as my number 1 giga. Sorry Orion, but looking back at it now, Fury has a better blend of elements and is overall a perfect roller coaster for me. So what do you prefer? Orion, Fury 325, or another giga coaster? Be sure to comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.